Hello everyone, and welcome back to another manga volume review. I'm the Rat, and this is The Rat's Nest. Today we have a volume that I loved, and that I have loved for quite some time, and I picked up the physical volume of it a little bit ago, a couple weeks ago, I think at this point, because when all the series that I read on my phone through the Viz app, I like to have at least one book physical, because I'm big on collecting physical books. I like to have at least one book physically, even if I don't have the whole series, and that's just one. I'm limited for space, two, I'm limited for money, and there's so much that I want to read. And so for Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm completely caught up. I'm still reading it weekly. I got volume 15, which is the subject of today's video. Jujutsu Kaisen volume 15. This one deals with the second phase of Yuji versus Mahito, where he's fighting with Todo instead of Nobara. And it goes to the end with Mahito's death. Uh-oh, spoiler if you hadn't read the volume yet. But yeah, no, I absolutely love this volume. Just looking at it, I love the art on the front. I mean, Gege Akutami, his art is just absolutely phenomenal. It's one of the things I like most about Jujutsu Kaisen. But also Shibuya itself is one of my favorite arcs of anything I've ever read. And this fight specifically, and specifically the second half of this fight, which was in this volume, is one of my favorite anime fights of all time, right up there with Jotaro versus Dio and a few others I can't think of off the top of my head. Without further ado, let's get right into the review. After I give about a minute of introduction, then we get to start off and we get a lot of Nobara's backstory. This is after, at the end of last volume, she got touched by Mahito, and you're just like, that's not too good of a thing. Long-time viewers will know that that's not too good. Suboptimal, if you will. And to see a bit of her backstory, specifically from the perspective of her childhood friend, Fumi was her name. We get to see how Nobara kind of operated when she was a kid. Just some stuff to get the feels going whenever Nobara dies. And I personally, I have some thoughts on Nobara. I didn't care for her much as a character. I thought she was kind of pointless throughout the series. I mean, I thought her power was cool enough, but also I think that it was too limiting to really be used in a wider range of applications, and she was just never as cool to me as Yuji or Megumi was. So I loved the decision to essentially kill her off. I know she's not dead, and she will be coming back because she is 100% dead. But I really liked that decision because, where else are you going to go with this character who has essentially done nothing other than be good against Mahito due to a quirk of her cursed ability. And so I think killing her off was the best decision Akutami could have made. And I can really respect him for making that decision. But yeah, so we get to see more of her backstory, her with Sayori. We get to see Sayori all grown up, and she's like, they would have hated the boring person I became. Just yada, yada, yada. And then I think she tells Yuji, she said, tell him it wasn't so bad. And then she dies, lol. Oh, man. That's so... And then she dies, lol. That's true. That's so true. And it also works as a character death, I think. One, because, what are you losing with Nobara? Some more comic relief, but you have a lot of characters like that. I also think her dying kind of helped usher in the quote-unquote new age of Jujutsu Kaisen. We're in post-Shibuya with Kenji's arc and then the Fortnite arc. I can't remember the names of either of those. It's Kenji arc and Fortnite arc. We get to see, I think, her death, because it showed a tone shift where you really have you have three central, I kind of decided one. You have three central comic relief characters. One being Nobara, two being Yuji, three being Gojo. Well, Gojo is sealed away, obviously, at the beginning of Shibuya, and Nobara essentially dies. And then you have Yuji, who becomes much more serious after this arc, and a lot of that is attributed to this death in Anonymies before, which I think is the most impactful death of Jujutsu Kaisen. But Nobara definitely has an effect on Yuji, and I can appreciate that. She's going to come back. Let's be real here. If Akutami decides to kill her off after being unknown for so long, I don't see it. I mean, that'd be cool if that happened, but it wouldn't make much sense. That, if you're going to kill someone off, you kill them off here. If you don't kill them off here, you plan on bringing them back, right? maybe she'll come back with a new curse power and be more interesting. I don't know. Yeah, this is like the quote unquote big moment of Shibuya. Right here is Nobara's death, because she was one of the main cast, and putting one of the main cast out of commission is a pretty big thing. We get to see Yuji break, and he said, like, I loved the narration that was like, after everything that's happened, losing the fight with Jojo, Nanami's death, Sukuna taking over, and his domain expansion, which is so cool, by the way. Yuji Itadori Yuji's resolve had run out long ago. And we get to see him kind of break, right? And Mahito's not going to let up. Right? Mahito's like, all right, cool, you're dead, lol. And oh my gosh, that was so cool how Mahito hit him with a black flash. tons of black flashes this fight. Oh man, I mean I can't say my favorite, but this is man, and that panel too, just the artwork in Jujutsu Kaisen is absolutely phenomenal. Everything hits right with this arc. And man, it's good. It's good stuff. It really is. Yeah, so he hits him with the black flash. And that's, Yuji's down, he gets hit with the black flash, and Mahito's about to go in for the kill, and you hear a clap, and Mahito switch places with someone, and you're like, uh-oh. And my favorite character, Todo, comes in, right? He used to be second to Nanami, but then Nanami died, and I still love Nanami very much, but Todo, especially because of him coming in here, I was like, yo, okay. I remember Todo showing up was the most hype moment of Shibuya for me, because it's like, okay, we're doing this. We're doing this, It's like who's gonna show up to save you? And it's Todo. I'm like, okay, yeah, we're doing this right now. And so then Todo talks to Yuji, and Yuji's like, he's like, I haven't done anything other than kill people. He's like, I can't help anyone. He's like, everyone died because of me. And Todo was like, no. He's like, where's you? He's like, you don't worry. Don't think about any of that. He said, we're Jujutsu Sorcerers. He said, all you have to think about is what have you been left with. And that's whenever he remembers Nanami's last words, which is, I leave it to you, Yuji, or something, or your go now. Man, what perfect parting words Nanami left him with, and what a perfect little speech. And he was like, and Todo was like, he's like, we have to continue. He's like, what have you been left with? And that gets Yuji back up. I love how during all this, Mahito never let up, and Todo had to keep clapping him around. And Mahito was like, even whenever you know how it works, it's still so disorienting. Oh, dude, the Boogie Woogie curse technique is in my opinion, it's the best in Jujutsu Kaisen. It's my favorite. I'd say the best is comedian. the best is comedian. But the most fun to watch fight is Boogie Woogie. Just sad that it's theoretically dead, but we don't know. So we get to see that, and then Yuji gets back up, and I love the exchange. Mahito is one of my favorite villains. He's my favorite villain from Jujutsu Kaisen. He goes back from the dead, and Yuji goes, yeah, and Todo's like, good to have you back, brother. And it's, oh man, it's good. This is where we learn Nobara might not be completely dead. It's like, oh well. We then get to see a little flash to the Kyoto High students, specifically Miwa talking to an automated Mekamaru, where we can see that Mekamaru made sure all of them were put on different assignments on the day that he knew the Shibuya would happen. Except for Todo and the dude that came with Todo, that I think he was a first year. I can't remember his name. He's a dude who saved, who helped Yuji and saved Nobara. Because Mekamaru was like, they have the highest chance of surviving in Shibuya. And it was a very nice, I don't care much for the Kyoto High students. Other than Todo, obviously. I love Todo very much. But other than him, I don't care much. I never cared about never cared about the little witch girl. Kamo or Noritoshi, I don't know, I call him Noritoshi, I guess. He's interesting enough, but that's kind of been because he's kind of been the focus of the last couple chapters. Even then, not the biggest fan of his fight with Maki against the cursed spirit there. But that's just me. I preferred Kinji versus Kashimo. It's interesting enough. Miwa is probably my second favorite there. Mekamaru I never cared too much, but I appreciated what Akutami did with him. And just like, oh, look at him, he's going to get brought back, and then he just dies, so that was funny. I get to see Miwa crying and all that, and it's like, okay, Miwa is a cool character, and I liked this scene with her, and I don't really care about any of the other Kyoto High students. So that's my thoughts on that. Here we get to see more of the fight. It's just a phenomenal fight all around. I mean, it's so good, everything. And we get to see Todo kind of be in. We get to see, obviously Mahito hits back Black Flash. Yuji can hit Black Flash almost on purpose. And we get to see Todo kind of go down a little bit, and he says some amazing lines because he's like even that thing is fighting at 120%. He said why can't I, right? He said, well, specifically, are you gonna let your brother feel all alone again? And I was like, oh my gosh, dude, it's just that just goes to show a lot of Todo's character and who he is and his feelings towards the line. It's just like, dude. I love it, and that's part of the reason I love Chozo too. Obviously, because he has that bond with Yuji. Personally, I enjoy seeing like Todo and Yuji and Chozo and Yuji together more so than I do Megumi and Yuji. But then again, we haven't seen Megumi and Yuji together for years at this point. So yeah, I just love Todo. I love that moment. And then he's like, yeah. That are you gonna let your brother feel alone again? And then he hits Mahito with Black Flash, and it's like, okay, we're here. And then we get probably my favorite panel in all Jujutsu Kaisen with Yuji, Todo, and Mahito, and he said all fighters are at 120% of their efficiency or something. Such a good panel. It's a page spread. I'm just like, oh my gosh, dude, that's so cool. That's so good. I love this fight so much. And so it's harder to give like description other than that's so cool or that's so good. It's so cool. It's so good. What can I say? It is so cool. It is so good. This fight is just altogether is just absolutely phenomenal. And here I literally wrote amazing fight. Mahito has to strategize. Yeah. So Mahito is in a very interesting position in that he needs to Todo can't hurt him, right? Because you can only hurt him by affecting his spirit, and the only two people I think we've seen to do that are Yuji and Nobara. But Yuji's back in this, right? But Mahito has to get around and has to use his powers in different ways in order to get around Todo. So because if he can take out Yuji, then he wins. And if he can take out Todo, then he can probably take out Yuji, right? Because Mahito just versus Yuji one-on-one, Mahito would probably win that. But then you have Todo in there making things super complicated with the Boogie Woogie. And so Mahito has to strategize and all that. I love that aspect of it, where we get to see kind of into Mahito's thought process of like, okay, what do I have to do, right? What do I have to do to get in here and to kill these guys? He said I need to get rid of that oath first. Here we get to see some other stuff of the fights. It's all good. It's all good. We get a 0.2 second domain expansion from Mahito, where he's like, this is the only way, right? Is he has to kill Todo somehow, but he can't use domain expansion because if he does, then Sukuna will kill him. And so he used it was 0.2 second. He learned it from Gojo at the beginning of this arc, and he can do it. Mahito's growth is incredible, dude. And then you get where he affects Todo's hand, or Todo activates a simple domain. Obviously, it doesn't affect Yuji, and you get to see Mahito talk to Sukuna like I'm gonna kill him before you even get a chance to come out. And we see the transfiguration start to work on Todo's hand, and he has to cut it off real quick, and it's like, that's kind of a big moment right there, where Todo has to cut off his hand, but at least he's still alive, and he's not affected by the transformation. And then we get to see, I think it was Mahito hit him with a Black Flash, but he conjured up all his strength energy in so that he wouldn't get super affected by it. And it's just like, okay, Todo is elite, dude. Todo is elite. And now we get to see Todo hit Mahito with the Black Flash, but it distracts him just enough that Todo's able to slap his hand to clap and to switch with Yuji. Oh my gosh, dude. That's like the second most hype moment of Shibuya right there, right after Todo arriving. Man, there's just so many good moments in this fight, especially this whole part. Whenever starting with Mahito's 0.2 second domain expansion. Just, it's so good. And so he slaps Mahito's hand, and he's like, why do I need two? He said, why do I need two hands? He said, what you call it? Oh, it's so good. And we get to see that he said, yeah, he's like, I touched Mahito for only a second. I'm lucky we've got his hand is a bit burnt or something, or I don't think it's exactly misshapen, but it is a bit burnt. And, luckily Mahito wasn't able to transfigure him from that because it surprised him. And then we get to see that Mahito, that essentially puts Toto out of the fight, right? Then it's Yuji versus Mahito, but after hitting that second Black Flash, Mahito understands the true nature of his soul and transforms his body into the new form, which is like, okay, that's kind of powerful right there. And him and Yuji kind of go for it, go at it for a little bit together, back and forth and whatnot, different strategies. We get to see Yuji uses his Divergent Fist is the name of it, where the cursed energy hits later. We get to see that after the fight with Chozo, he's been able to use that at will, which is like, okay, that's kind of cool a little bit, right? And so he hits Mahito with that, yada yada. Mahito is about to win, right? He's about to strike Yuji, then he gets hit with Divergent Fist, and Mahito's like, all right, cool, we got to strategize. But then Toto comes up, and he said, what you don't know, he said, is Boogie Woogie is an acclamation of the soul. He said, I don't need two hands for it. And he slaps his stub against his hand, and Mahito immediately reacts like he's going to get switched, and then he doesn't switch. Oh my gosh, that might be the most hype moment of Shibuya. Oh, there's just so many good moments, dude. This entire part, especially the fake out with Mahito, that's just, it's cash. It is so cash money. And then we get one of the saddest lines of Shibuya where Toto's like, Boogie Woogie's already dead. It's like, no. It's almost as sad as Toto himself dying. I want to see him more. I love the Boogie Woogie. It's such a good ability, and this was such a good fight. And obviously Mahito being distracted leaves a perfect room for Yuji to hit him with Black Flash. And that before Yuji was saying, he's like, if I can just hit him with one more Black Flash, just one more Black Flash, he'll be gone. And here we are, one more Black Flash, and Mahito, he's out of transfigured humans, he's almost out of spirit energy. And he starts running away, and Yuji's like, you know what? He's like, I am like you. He said, I am you. He said, I'm not going to run away from that anymore. He said, but I'm just going to kill cursed spirits from now on. He said, I don't know what people will look at me like in 100 generations. He said, I'm just going to kill cursed spirits now. He said, that's how I'm going to contribute. And I think he said something like, and I'm going to start with you or something. We get that awesome scene of them being related to like a wolf and a rabbit. It's just, dude, I love Yuji's development throughout Shibuya. I can't wait to see where he goes. I absolutely loved his fight against Nick Phoenix in the Fortnite arc. But right before Yuji can get to him, we get to see Kenjaku show up, and it's like, it's never good whenever Kenjaku shows up. Well, we don't know he's Kenjaku at this point. I don't think. We still think he's Geto. We get to see Kenjaku show up, and he eats Mahito. He's like, yummy, yummy, yummy in my tummy. Gotta get you some. And this turns out to be a very bad moment for a lot of people. Longtime viewers of the channel will know this clearly suboptimal. We get to see a little thing with Ui. I don't care much about her. She's interesting enough, I guess, where she knows that Shibuya is gonna fall. And obviously Geto's whole thing is explained next volume 16, which I might eventually pick up and do a review on. I don't know. I love Shibuya, so getting the end of it makes sense. I mean, I own the end of Chimera Ant. I love Chimera Ant. But yeah, that's pretty much the review. I know I missed a lot of details in there. But this is an in-depth dive through of every chapter, which I could do if I wanted to, but I like for stuff to be shorter, and I've already been going on for a bit now. So if you're this far in the video, obviously there's something you liked. Be sure to like and subscribe, and go check out Goobers and Screens Book Club over on Goobers and Screens. Link in description. We're currently reading through Hunter x Hunter. Next will be Bleach. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out more like it. I have more manga volumes reviews. I do Chainsaw Man every week, and I do One Piece every week. Obviously, no Chainsaw Man this week, since this is coming up on Wednesday, which would be my Chainsaw Man day, because now it's bi-weekly or something, or maybe he's just taking two weeks to do stuff. We don't know. I suppose we'll see with that. Altogether, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.